Hi to everybody. So I am warmly welcoming all of you people to observe or to listen the online classes of Diamond Group of Institutions. I am Chandrasekhar, Faculty of Zoology, and today we discuss the another important topic of human physiology, that is locomotion and movements. So regarding this, we are supposed to discuss some of the questions which are related with KSET and as well as NEET also. Now the questions are as follows. The one question, when EDTA, the questions are as follows. When EDTA is injected into the muscle, it combines with the calcium and then that means EDTA, you know that the C and the ethylene diamine tetraesteric acid, when it is injected into the muscle, certainly every muscle is composed by ions. Every muscle will be contains little amount of the calcium ions itself. When the EDTA is injected into the muscle, and the injected EDTA naturally combines with the calcium, that will leads into paralysis of the muscles. When the muscles are undergoes paralysis, certainly there is no contraction of the muscles will be effectual. So that is the effect of injection of EDTA. Now the options are given like this. Contraction occurs. No, it is the muscles are never contracts when the EDTA is combined with the calcium of the muscles. And A option is not related. And B option, the little contraction occurs. No, there is no little and there is no contraction at all. And C option, no contraction occurs. That is right, because of no contraction. And after that, D, none of these. Of course, it is not at all concerned with this. Okay, now in that way, I am also opting the C option for this question because of there is no contraction at all. And after that we go for the next question. Which of the following groups of bones are directly contributing during a race of 100 meters? This question is asking that what are the bones are directly contributing the athlete to win a race? Now the options are like that. A option, femur, malleus, tibia and metatarsus. Of course, femur is actually present in the hind limb. Malleus is one among the three of the ear ossicles. Tibia and metatarsus are also present, and they too became important parts of the hind limb. But malleus is not at all concerned with the hind limb. That's why A option is not correct. And B option, the pelvis. Pelvis is nothing but which is became a important parts of the kidney. And ulna is also a part of the forelimb, radio ulna, and patella. Patella is it is nothing but knee bone and tibia. So naturally the tibia is the only bone which comes under hind limb. So that's why the B option is not at all correct to this. And C option is the sternum. Sternum is naturally present on mid-ventral line of the anterior part of the thoracic part of the body. So that's why sternum is not at all considered the important parts of the hind limb. Only femur is the correct, and tibia is also correct, and fibula is also one among the bones of the hind limb. And unfortunately the sternum is included. That's why C option is also not correct option for this. And now we go for the D option. Tarsals, okay, femur, metatarsals and tibia. And these all bones are placed correctly in the hind limb itself. You know that what are the bones can be present in the hind limb? Femur, tibiofibula, tarsals and metatarsals are present. So in D option, tarsals are given, femur is given, metatarsals are given, and tibia is also given. So all these bones are correctly placed in D option. So that's why I am opting the D option for this question. Okay. And after that you go for the next question. Which of the following components is a part of the pectoral girdle? You may know that. So in endoskeleton, there is a lot of bones are present. In addition to that, pectoral girdle and pelvic girdle is also become a endoskeleton. Pectoral girdle is naturally present in between forelimbs to protect the two of the sensitive parts of the human body, that is called lungs and the heart part, whereas pelvic girdle is another girdle which is present in between hind limbs and which can be protect the sensitive parts like kidneys itself. So in that way, the pectoral girdle is also constituted by two of the ops, like that pelvic girdle is also associated with the two of the ops itself. Here, the pectoral girdle is naturally composed by two of the bones like coracoid and as well as this here, clavicle and scapula itself. Here, in pectoral girdle, there is the presence of one of the cavity which is large as the humerus to form the movement of the shoulder, or else just so with the combination of the humerus and glenoid cavity of the pectoral girdle is associated to each other to form the ball and socket joint itself. So here the related four of the options are so far given. A option is sternum. What is it? No, sternum is not at all concerned with the pectoral girdle. B, the acetabulum. The acetabulum is just one of the cavity which is confined to the pelvic girdle, and glenoid cavity, the only suitable option for this question. Glenoid cavity is naturally present as a cavity in the pectoral girdle and which is meant to enlarge the femur and humerus of the shoulder, and which is permitted to form the ball and socket joint itself. And after the D the ileum part. Of course, ileum is naturally present in the one part of the alimentary canal or small intestine of the alimentary canal, or the ileum part is becoming a one kind of the bone in the pelvic girdle also. Okay. Now, only among A, B, C, D, only C option is related to this question. So that's why I opting the C option itself. So after that, we go for another question. In all-out sprint, that is nothing but when the muscles are becoming fatty, cannot continue for more than 40 seconds. Because what is the reason? If the muscles are undergone fatigue, certainly they are able to move even 40 seconds of the time. So what are the reasons for that? So now the four of the options are given like that. A option, run out of oxygen, and B, the accumulation of creatinine, and C, the collapse, and D, the all of this. So here the run of oxygen naturally, because of the movement, the contraction and relaxation of the muscles are badly need of oxygen. Because of in the presence of the oxygen, the oxidative reactions can be take place. The oxidation reactions are the only reaction which are break down the end products of the digested food particles to release the energy. The released energy is supposed to supply to the muscles during the contraction itself. When the oxygen is coming out, or else the run out of oxygen, the muscles are naturally undergoes fatigue. Once they undergo fatigue, they are not supposed to move even 40 seconds also. Now that's why A option is correct to this, and B option, accumulation of the creatinine. There is no accumulation of the creatinine within the contraction or during the contraction of the muscle. Only lactic acid can be formed or accumulated in the muscles during the contraction. So that's why B option is not at all concerned. C option, collapse. No, there is no collapse. And D, the all of this. The D option is also not related with question. Only run out of oxygen is the correct option for this question. That's why I am opting the A option. And after that you go for another question. What will happen if ligaments are torn? What do you mean of that? You know that the two of the specialized structures are present in our body. One is called tendons. Tendons are always permit the muscles to attach to the skeleton system or skeleton. So that's why the tendons are always permit the attachment of the muscles to the endoskeleton or the skeleton and to permit the movement of the body. Whereas ligaments are the second category of the structures which are helpful to attachment in between two successive bones itself. So once you know the little knowledge about the ligaments, certainly which option is related to this question, we easily after the correct option itself. Bones will be moved freely at joint and no pain. It is not happen because of the ligaments are not healthy and the ligaments are not perfect. So naturally first option is not at all correct. B option is the bones will be less movable at joints and painful also because of the tone of the ligaments are not to permit the bones to move freely at the joints. Little when the bones are moved slightly, certainly the people will be feel little painful itself. That's why B option is correct. And in case of C option, bone will become unfixed. Of course, bones are fixed, but and D option, the bones will be fixed. So that's why C and D options are not related with this question, and only B option is the correct option for this question. That's why opting the B option itself. And after that, you go for the next question. Which of the following statements is correct? Which of the following statements is correct? A option. Options are like this. A option. Movable skull bone is mandible. Of course, skull is simply made with the bones, and most of the bones of the skulls are immovable, but only the mandible is the only bone of the skull which is movable. So that's why the A option is also correct. And B option, we move our hands while walking and balancing the body. It is natural. So while you are moving, while you are walking in the nature or on the earth, certainly you are moving the hands and as well as balancing. When you miss the balance, certainly the forelimbs are expanded to balance the body itself. In two of the situations or two of the conditions, our hands are perfectly moved for sake of effective movement or walking, and as well as the balance in the body itself. So B option is also right. And C option is the cartilage and joints have little mobility. Due to the fibrous cartilage, disc can be present between its articular ends itself. It is also right. Because of cartilage and joints are little movable, because of the fibrous cartilage will permit the cartilage and joints to move slightly. So that's why the C option is also correct too. And in that way, the D option is all of this. So the D option is the correct option for this. Which of the following statement is correct? So all of these statements are correct for this question, and all of these is included under D option. So that's why I am opting the D option for this question. So after discussion of some of the questions, we go for other. How many statements are correct in human body? Just regarding the human body. So 5 of the options are given, or 5 of the statements are so far given. The first statement is the human skeleton has 2 or 6 bones. That means the total body of human being is simply composed by 2 or 6 bones. It right. Second statement is there are 12 pairs of the ribs in human body. Of course, there is a presence of 12 pairs of the ribs which are located on the lateral sides of the body of human beings. So it is also correct. And third is the sternum is present on the dorsal side of the body. This is not correct because of the sternum is naturally present on mid-ventral line of the anterior part of the thoracic body of human being itself. So that's why it is not correct. And fourth is the all mammals have 4. All mammals have 8 cervical vertebrae. It is also not true. The majority of the mammals are naturally contain 7 of the cervical vertebrae. Itself, but not the bicephalic itself. The double-headed means here, this is the double-headed ribs can be present. So among the 5 statements, only 3 of the related and 3 of the corrective statements are so far given out of 5 and remaining 2 of them are not correct. So in that way the options are given like that: A, 3, B, 2, C, 4, D is the one. So among the A, B, C, D, the first option, that is the A option, is correct for this question. So I opt in the A option itself. Now you go for the other question. Which of the following is the correct matching of 3 items and their grouping category itself? So here the items are given one group answer, the items are given left side and the group is given on right side itself. So whatever the items are so far given in the left side, they should be related with the one of the group, or right side located one of the group of the question itself. Now, for sake of this question, items are A, B, C, D. Options are given. A option: iridium, ischium, pubis. These are 3 of the 3 kinds of the bones are so far present in which of the group of the right side. Coxal bones of the pelvic girdle. So naturally, it is right option because of the pelvic girdle. What I said, the pelvic girdle is naturally present in between hindlimbs, and each of the pelvic girdle is simply made with the 2 of the halves, which are simply called as the innominate bones or coxal bones itself. Each half of the pelvic girdle is naturally composed by 3 of the bones. They are the ilium, ischium, pubis. So that's why the A option is corrected. The 3 of the items of the A option is grouped under coxal bones of the pelvic girdle. That's why the A option is correct. Now we go for the B. Femur is the bone of the hind limb. Scapula is the one of the part of or one of the bone of the pectoral girdle. Sternum is not a part of this. So that's why flat bones. All of them are not flat bones. And see the actin and myosin. These are the kind of muscle proteins except sternum itself. Sternum is one kind of the bone, so that's why the C option is not included under the group of muscle proteins itself. And D is the malleus and incus. These 2 of them are simply comes under ear ossicles itself. But whereas cochlea is a spring-like structure which is present in the internal ear. So apart from the cochlea, these 2 of them are considered as the ear ossicles. So that's why the third item is not related with the ear ossicles. In that way, B, C, D is not at all concerned in this question. Only the A option is correct. That is the ilium, ischium, pubis. They are popularly named as the coxal bone of the bones of the pelvic girdle. That's why A option is correct for this question. Now we go for another question. Flat, unpaired bone present on the midventral line of the thoracic region. What is the name of that? So A option is a hyoid, which is not at all concerned with this. B is the sternum. Of course, the sternum is the only flat and unpaired bone which is naturally present on midventral line of the anterior part of the thoracic part of the human being itself. And after the scapula, what I said, the scapula is the bottom parts of the pectoral girdle, and D is the sphenoid bone which is confined to the skull of the human body itself. That's why among A, B, C, D, only B option is correct for this because of the sternum is the flat, unpaired bone located on the midventral line of the anterior thoracic part of the body. So now I am opting the B option for this question. And now we go for the other question. Which one of the following events? Which one of the following events is not related with the muscular movement itself? Now the options are given like this. Peristalsis, causing forward movement of food in digestive tract itself. Of course, the peristalsis movements are nothing but the muscularis or the muscle layer is present from esophagus to the rectum part of the alimentary canal, which is naturally, the muscles are naturally undergoes contraction. By the contraction of the muscles of the different parts of the alimentary canal, what they call the movements, They are simply called as the peristalsis movement. The peristalsis movements are carry the foot particles and for the foot particles from one part to the another part. It is nothing but a kind of muscular movement itself. And after that, B is the micturitation. Micturitation is nothing but the passing of, or else the release of urine from the urinary bladder itself. You know that the sexual muscles can be present in the urinary bladder. They are also a kind of muscles which are confined to the urinary bladder. By the contraction and relaxation of the sexual muscles of the urinary bladder are permitted the movement brings to pour the urine itself. So that's why micturitation is nothing but a kind of muscular movement itself. And after the C option is the phagocytosis. Engulf and digesting the pathogens by histiocytes. They are nothing but a kind of phagocytic cells are present in the synovial fluid of the synovial capsule. It is nothing but a movable giants which are present in the body. They are simply covered with or filled with the synovial fluid itself. In synovial fluid, a kind of phagocytic cells are present. If the synovial fluid may be infected by entering of the microorganism, the histiocytic cells are engulfing and kill them microorganism to protect the synovial fluid of the movable giant section. That's why it is this movement and this statement or this character is not at all concerned with the muscles. That's why C option is right option for this question. And now we go for the D. Breathing, the inspiration and expiration, these two kinds of the movements of the breathing is also affected by the contraction and relaxation of the muscles itself. Already we know that the phrenic muscles of the diaphragm and as well as external intercostal muscles are these two kinds of the muscles are undergoes contraction to stimulate the inspiration, and inspiration is naturally helpful to intake of atmospheric air into the body. Whereas the relaxation of these two of the muscles are permit the outgoing of carbon dioxide from the body into the surrounding itself. That's why inspiration and expiration of the respiration is also a kind of muscular movement itself. Among the ABCD, A, B, D are the muscular movements, whereas C option is the only phagocytosis which is not at all concerned with the muscular movement. That's why the C option is correct option for this question. And after that, you go for the next question. Which of the following is long bones? The question is asking that what are the long bones are so far present in our human body? The long bones are naturally filled with long bone marrow. Due to the filling of bone marrow in the long bones, they are the best sites for the production of the blood cells in the human body itself. Options are like this. A option, humerus of the upper arm. This is the humerus is naturally one among the long bones of the human body. And after that, radio ulna. This is the radio ulna which are naturally present in the forearm of the forelimbs itself. And after that, see the femur of the thigh. This is the long bone which is also present in the thigh bone or singly. And D option is the all of this. Or whatever the options are so far given in the form of A, comma B and C, and all of them are example for the long bones. And so on the basis of that, I am opting the D option as the correct option for this question. And after that, we go for the other question. Which of the given giants are monoxial? Of course, we know that the giants are simply categorized into three types: immovable, lightly movable or slightly movable, and freely movable giants. Here, the question is asking that the giants are monoxial. The options are given like this: saddle giant. The saddle giant is popularly named as the biaxial. And B is the hinge giant. Hinge giant is naturally present in between femur and the tibiofibula. And as well as 2 of the 4 of the hinge giants can be present out of 4, 2 are present in the femur, in between femur and tibiofibula, like the two more hinge joints are present in between humerus to the radioulna itself. Here the hinge joint is one of the example for monoaxial. It can be moved in one side only, in one direction. The hinge joint is not supposed to move in opposite direction itself. And see the pivot joint. Pivot joint is another example for the monoaxial joint, which is naturally present in between first two of the vertebrae. The first vertebrae of the vertebral column is the atlas, and second vertebrae the axis. Here the pivot joint is naturally present in between atlas and axis of the vertebral column. These two of the joints are the best example for the monoaxial. And here A option is given in saddle joint, B option is given in hinge joint, C is the pivot joint, and D is the B and C. So that's why I am opting the D option is correct for this question. And after that we go for the other question, the mineral group. The mineral group that plays vital role in the muscle contraction. So the options are given: A option, potassium, calcium and manganese. So these are three of the minerals. Calcium is helpful, but potassium and manganese are not helpful in the contraction of the muscle itself. And whereas B option is the correct option because of sodium. When the sodium is enters into the muscle, certainly the sodium ions are stimulating the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release the calcium ions. Once the calcium ions are so far released, the muscle contraction is supposed to take place in the body itself. And magnesium is also helpful in the release of energy itself. That means the release of ATP is always concerned with the magnesium ions. So that's why sodium ions, calcium ions and magnesium ions, while they are present in the muscles, they are playing vital role during the muscle contraction itself. That's why the B option is the correct option for this question. And basically we have to discuss and we have to see the C option: iron, magnesium and sodium. Iron is not at all helpful in the muscle contraction. Magnesium and sodium is helpful, but due to the presence of iron, which is the C option is not correct. D option is the sodium is partially correct, but just here phosphorus and chloride ions are not helpful in the muscle contraction. That's why D option is also not correct for this question. Only the B option is the correct option, so I am opted B option for this question. And after that, you go for the next question. The lower jaw of a membrane is made up of. So here you know that the human body naturally contains two of the jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw. Particularly the lower jaw of the mammals are mainly made with a single bone that is called dentary. So A option is given premaxilla, C option is given maxilla, and D option is given post maxilla. Only B option is correctly given. The dentary is the name of the bone which is confined to form the lower jaw of the mammals, whereas premaxilla, maxilla and post maxilla are not concerned with the formation of the lower jaw itself. So that's why I am opting the correct option, that is B. And after that, the last question of this class, and now I'm just discussing the last question of this class, that is called functional unit of the skeletal muscle is called. Of course you know that on the basis of location of muscles or location of the bones are simply classified into three types also. So here unlike that, the location of the muscles are also classified into three types also. For example, the muscles which are attached to the skeleton or bones in nature, they are simply called as skeletal muscles. And whereas the second category of the muscles are present in visceral parts, they are simply called as the visceral muscles. And here the third category of the muscles are confined to the heart part of the human being, they are simply called as the cardiac muscles itself. Most of the cases, the skeletal muscles along with the movement of the joints, they can be involved in the movements of the different parts of the human body itself. Now here the question is asking that what is the functional unit of the skeletal muscle? The options are like this: A the sarcomere, B the twist, and C the dead bond, and none of this. D is the none of this. In this case, sarcomere is the correct option because of the sarcomere is nothing but is the functional unit of the muscle or skeletal muscle. Because of the skeletal muscle, all along the length of the skeletal muscle, certainly there is a presence of A bonds and I bond itself. Anisotropic and isotropic bonds can be present. So anisotropic bond is the dark bond and isotropic bonds are the light bonds. So in between these two of the bonds, certainly the myofibril can be present. So the sarcomere is why it is called functional unit. The sarcomere is the functional unit of the skeletal muscle, which is naturally present in between two successive I bonds. So the middle part of the two successive I bond is naturally undergoes contraction of the muscle. That's why the sarcomere is considered or described as the functional unit of the skeletal muscle itself. Among four of the options like A, B, C, D, only the A is concerned with the functional unit of skeletal muscle. That's why opting a sarcomere as the correct option. And B, C, D are not at all concerned with us. And in that way, I am concluding today's class. And tomorrow we'll discuss some other questions of another lesson.